Euphoria!
Welcome to the In Obscuria podcast, a podcast where we exhume obscure rock and punk and metal, and we put them in one of three categories: the lost, the forgotten, or the should-have-beens. My name is Kevin Williams, and today I'm joined by, who is it?
Hola.
Oh, it's Robert Harrison.
Hola.
Speaking a little Spanish.
Me llamo Roberto. I had tequila shot, so I'm going to start talking Spanish here in a second. ¿Qué pasa, amigo? ¿Qué onda, vato?
Cinnamon Twist.
It's going to be one of those nights.
Oh, man. How have you been?
Good. It's been a wacky, crazy week as usual here at the firehouse.
How was your Halloween?
The music of our several episodic series on Halloween was awesome. It definitely put me in the mood, and looking forward to revisiting some of those topics again. I really enjoyed some of the goth stuff. It's just...
People really liked the goth episode. I was very surprised with that one. I think the whole Halloween trilogy that we had in general has done really well. So thank you to anyone who's new, who's jumped on with that. And especially thanks to any other podcast who might have shared our
As always,
our
many thanks to our podcasting friends.
Pot of Thunder especially. Thank you so much for that.
Gracias.
All right. Well, hey, do not forget, you must do this. Go listen to Growing Up Rock, the Slamfest podcast, Pot of Thunder, Decibel Geek, Metal Up Your Podcast, ouch, Dummy Room, Podcast Rock City, Cobras and Fire, Rock Strikes 10, Kiss Street Science Theater, I Love It Loudcast, Ages of Rock, and The Synaptic Empire. Don't forget to visit us, inobscuria.com. All kinds of stuff going on there. And also visit us on all the socials. Do some likes, some shares, some recommendations, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And please go out to Apple Podcasts. Give us an Apple Podcast review. That would be awesome. We will read it on this program if you do so.
We are inviting you to stalk us. You don't often get that, so take advantage of it.
We are Spook Us, coming out of the spooky sessions that we had previously.
I almost invited you over Monday. They were shooting a music video in my house.
A music video for what kind of group?
It was DeAndre, somebody or the other, a young up-and-coming rap star who's had a couple of hits already.
This is the ATL, so that's pretty much what we have.
So he's a signed artist and real nice guy. I got to talk to him for a little bit, but it was just interesting watching a rap video being shot in my house and how they kind of blended that. And they did a great job. It actually had a storyline to it, which... A lot of hip-hop videos, there's not much story.
Right.
There's performing, but there's not a story. So they had a story. He was kind of an android, and this lady had bought him, and so she was like taking him out of this giant box, just like you would a toy or something like that. So this was going on in my kitchen, in my main room, up in a bedroom.
And why would they use your house for that? Seems a little odd. Seems like they would have picked like a futuristic place or something.
Their initial location fell through, and the production manager knows me, and so I got a phone call Sunday night going, "Hey man, can we shoot a video at your house tomorrow starting at like 8 o'clock in the morning?" And I'm like, what's in it for me? And we negotiated very quickly, and I said, come on over. Cleaned up the house and had 40 people run around my house with camera equipment, trucks parked in the yard. They had lunch. And
now, were they in here as well?
Yeah, I don't know what they were doing. I kind of stayed out of the way. I'd walk through the house once in a while like I owned the place, because I do. But that's my favorite part, because there's definitely like a hierarchy when you do music videos. There's the talent, and you don't really talk to the talent if you're not another talent. That you just do your job, and then there's the director, then there's production assistants, which are kind of low on the totem pole, and then the location person normally isn't involved, but it's my house. So I tended to, I had to come and go sometimes, and they would be shooting in the main room, and I just walk through the room. I'd wait till they say cut.
Okay.
But yeah, they would say cut, and I'd walk through the room and There's one scene where he was on the couch and his lady friend was kind of like fondling his hair, running her fingers through his hair and being all lovey-dovey. And the director's like, cut, right as I'm walking through, like behind the camera, walking through the room. So I just shout over like, hey, man, if you need a stunt double, just let me know. Everybody kind of turns around like, oh, don't talk to the talent. And then I just kind of walk out like, yeah, it's my house, whatever.
I can do whatever I want.
So that was that. And so then the other side of the coin was having to meet with a future bride that wants to rent the place for a wedding today. And that was like the downside to having people in your home like, I don't really want to talk about this.
I can't believe you do that. Because that it seems like, well, at least in the programs that my wife watches, there's always drama with weddings.
Oh, yeah. And I cut it off real quickly because they start to talk about things that don't involve me. And I'm like, I'll just say, nope, that doesn't involve me. Go somewhere else and talk about that. Like we talk about the actual space, what time you can get here, what time you need to leave, what furniture you can move. And then they start talking about, oh, what kind of flowers do you want? And I'm like, nope, you go take that somewhere else because I don't want to deal with that.
Before we go too much further with this diatribe, we should probably mention, because I think we have some new listeners.
Oh, that's right.
So let's talk a little bit about where we record this and what you own here.
So we are recording this podcast and every podcast that we do in, well, almost all, except for a couple of locations that you've done it, in a speakeasy. And it's located in old-timey firehouse called Old Smyrna Firehouse. And so this is one of the spaces. There's a website,
on
Facebook, Instagram. That's it. So Facebook and Instagram, Old Smyrna Firehouse. You can keep up with the events here. We have all kinds of stuff. We have a women's welding workshop this Saturday. So that's going to be fun.
And Robert, you own this. You've restored this building.
And I have 2 fire trucks, not just one.
Yeah. And so it's super cool. If anyone's ever in Atlanta visiting, and hit us up. Maybe we can arrange a tour.
Absolutely. Downtown
nominal
Smyrna.
fee of booze.
Booze and food. I'm pretty cheap to be. You can bribe me pretty easily.
Exactly. Yeah, I just wanted to mention that because I know we do have some new folks, and we talk about where we are all the time, and I'm thinking they probably don't have the context behind where we are.
We are just outside Atlanta, so literally just a stone throw outside of the perimeter from Atlanta. We're right down the street from the Brave Stadium. All kinds of cool stuff here. So, yeah, if you're passing through, hit us up. We can meet some of our fans in person. That'd be cool.
Absolutely. And if any podcasters, of course, hit us up and we'll show you the digs.
If you get arrested in Atlanta, I know some good lawyers. Just give me a shout, bond money. We can hook you up, bail money.
I'm married to one, but you can't have her.
No. She keeps me out of jail. I'm her sole client for that. It's a full-time job.
Oh, man. Well, coming out of Halloween, I felt like we had dealt with ghosts enough, so I went back to an old, tried-and-true way of getting the topic for this week's episode. I went into my daughter's room, and I picked up the Magic 8 Ball.
Oh, yeah, it's good. Yeah. Non-spiritual, just kind of...
It's kind of like in the gray area because, kids play with them, but...
It's not spooky.
They really are a little powerful sometimes, so you got to be careful with the things.
It's a more acceptable Ouija board, basically.
Exactly right. So I shook it up, and I said, what should we talk about this week? And I look at it, and it says, current event.
What? No. No.
I told the Magic 8 Ball, hell no.
That is one thing we do not discuss on this podcast is current events.
We are in the United States of America and getting ready to embark on this whole election. No, we are not going to talk about current events.
Or even, let's say, other current events. COVID? No, I don't want to talk about that
we've
crap.
Talked about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I said...
No current events that need to be talked about.
I gave it another shake. Another shake. And then it gave me something really weird. And I look at it, and it says, have you called your mother?
Ooh, okay. Have you?
I actually haven't in a while.
Ooh,
yeah.
Dude,
have you?
This morning. Because she's about to get hit with another hurricane. And like the 3rd hurricane in 2 months. So, yes, I have. Thank you very much. Despite my other shortcomings, I did call my mother.
Well, so it did not make me call my mom. Sorry, Mom. What it made me do is think, okay, that means nothing to me. So what are we going to talk about? Mother's finest?
I was about to say, I called your mom. Don't worry about it. I don't want you to throw something.
Oh, boy. I walked right into that one, didn't I? So I'm thinking, like, what do we talk about? Mother's finest, Every Mother's Nightmare. I'm trying to think of all the bands with Mother in it. And then
Danzig, Mother.
We could talk about Danzig. And then I'm thinking, oh, wait, I should probably pay attention to the first thing that I got, which was current events. I probably have to put them both together to get something. So current events and have you called your mother. And then it hit me. So current events in obscuria. So we've we've had several episodes, say over the last 10 or 12 episodes, where there is a band that has come up several times with Mother in the title.
Mother Love Bone.
We haven't talked about Mother Love Bone once.
Sorry.
But we have talked about Mother Superior.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so I thought, aha, that's where we're going. We've played them 3 times already because they were basically the Rollins Band for a short while, and their music was also played with another band called Motor Sister, which was really the lead singer with some guys from Anthrax and Armored Saint. So we actually played the Rollins Band version of them. We played Motor Sister, and we played Mother Superior. And every time we played them, we said, man, we should really dive in a little deeper into their stuff. So that's what we're going to do.
Pay it off.
That's what we're going to do today. We played them on episode 39. We played them again on episode 46. And now we're going to play them on episode 51. Grave Mistake, Mother Superior, Shoulda Been Huge.
All right. I've had tequila. I'm in the mood for this music.
Let's get into it. And this works really well because I think they're an LA blues-based power trio from the early 90s. Lasted until about the end of the 2000s, 2008-ish. Nice long career, and then they kind of went their separate ways. But the original band it's a trio. So it's Jim Wilson. We've talked about Jim Wilson. The bassist is Marcus Blake. The drummer is Jason McEnroth. Now he's not there the whole time, but we'll talk about that in a few minutes. So we've talked about them before. They were big on the LA scene. Like all the musicians in LA and people that were super cool in the 90s and in 2000s, they would go see Mother Superior play. It was like the hangout cool thing to do was you go see Mother Superior play. They play awesome rock music. You can go to the local wherever they're playing. They were considered underappreciated. They never really made waves outside of Southern California until Henry Rollins picked them up and made them the second version of the Rollins Band. So like I said, they had 10 full-length releases from 93 to 2008. Now, one of those was a demo, and one of those was kind of a B-sides, best of kind of compilation deal. So really 8 albums, if you think about it. And like I mentioned, on their 4th album, third full-length album.
Yeah, fourth recording.
Fourth release, I should say. It's called Deep, and we played a song from that album. And that was in episode 46. We played Does the Music Make You Feel Good? And it was kind of funky, bluesy. I remember you really liked it. Great guitar work. And they had Henry Rollins as their producer on that one. Now, if you don't know who Henry Rollins is, he was in Black Flag, which is one of the premier hardcore bands of the early 80s from Southern California. And then he also had the Rollins Band, the band that took his name after that. And he was on the first Lollapalooza. You might remember him from the Liar video. It's probably his biggest claim to fame. He was all painted red and angry.
He was not happy.
He's been in a lot of movies. And he's pretty much been on...
Oh, and the spoken word tour?
Does spoken word.
I mean, how many musicians have turned and
written
done
books?
Yeah, written books and done a spoken word tour. That was really cool.
Yeah, he has his own publishing company, so... Just a cool dude, and he's also just a big music lover, and that's how he met Jim Wilson. Jim Wilson worked at Aaron's Records, which is a L.A. indie record shop, and he met Henry in the early 90s, and out of their conversations of their love for Black Sabbath, Parliament, and the Beatles, they bonded, and Jim said, hey, I got a demo tape of my band, just check it out. And Henry came back and said, let's keep in touch on this. I really dig what you're doing. Obviously, we have a connection with the music that we like. And sure enough, when it came time to do their third full-length album, they asked Henry to produce it. And he said, okay, what does that mean? What do I do? And
Let me go Google how to produce this.
And so they figured it out, and he produced that album. And it was really, really good. Now, at the same time, the Rollins Band, the original Rollins Band, had kind of fallen apart a little bit. I think the way Henry tells it is the guys were getting more into like jazz territory almost, like not, and not jazz as you think of it, but almost the mentality was they didn't want to rock anymore. They wanted to get further and further out there.
I don't understand that. Who doesn't want to rock anymore?
Yeah.
You always want to rock.
And Henry's all about rocking. He's all about pulling all that stuff in. He's into jazz too, but he wants to make it rock. And apparently they didn't want to rock as much as he did. So he let them go. And he basically brought Mother Superior in to be the new Rollins Band. And they were the Rollins Band from 98 to 2003. So they released 2 full lengths, The first one was called Get Some, Go Again, and Nice. And these are kind of hard to find now for some reason. I think Henry Rollins might sell demo versions of these albums on his site, but I think eBay and maybe used on Amazon is the only way you get them now. And then they also released a live album in 2002, which was recorded, I believe, at the Metro in Chicago, which is a cool place. And then in 2002, I actually saw this tour. They toured almost as a Black Flag tribute band because they did the Rise Above Black Flag songs to benefit the West Memphis Three. Mm-hmm. And we talked about that whole scene and what that all meant in an earlier episode, in episode 39. So go back and listen to that if you want that whole story about the West Memphis
Pause
3.
This episode right now. Go listen to that one, then come back and start this one again.
Yeah. They put out an album, so it's Mother Superior and Henry Rollins on a few songs, but really it's Mother Superior and a bunch of different guests. So Lemmy, Tom Araya, Iggy Pop, Chuck D, Ice-T, Mike Patton from Faith No More, a whole list of singers with Mother Superior playing Black Flag songs, which is super cool when you think about it, because Mother Superior, they're this good mix, and you'll see this as we get into it. They're this great mix of blues, power rock, almost like a throwback 70s, 60s kind of just blues-based killer rock with this punk thrown in and some metallic edge. So they kind of bring everything together from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Just throw it all together and can do anything. And they have a lot of punk ties, which is interesting because I would never consider them a punk band. But as we go through this, you'll see they have a lot of ties to other producers and people and known for punk rock. So Rollins, coming out of 2002 after this Rise Above tour, Rollins kind of shifted his focus, and he had a TV talk show for a while. I don't know if you remember that. I can't remember if it was on VH1 or what it was on, but he did have a talk show for a season or two, and then he did his spoken word tours, and that's really what he's kept doing. I think at one point he put together the original version of the Rollins Band for a single tour, which I did get to see, which was awesome. So I saw Rollins with Mother Superior twice, and I saw the original Rollins Band once.
Well, I've seen him. We saw the spoken word tour at the Masquerade, and I swear I saw him with Rollins Band. Was that you and I saw
yes,
that?
you saw the original. You and I saw the
reunited original Rollins Band. Was it the same place, both at Masquerade? I can't remember where we saw that.
That was at Tabernacle and X opened.
Oh yeah, that was a bigger venue. Okay,
yeah, and that was killer because we got to see the original band that I had never seen earlier for some reason. But anyway, he shifted his focus really to spoken word tours. So Mother Superior went back to being Mother Superior, and actually they never stopped being Mother Superior. They were still putting out albums, and we'll talk about it while we're doing it. They were still putting out their own albums while they were doing all this Rollins Band stuff, which is
kept busy.
Pretty crazy.
That's the way you do it.
And they played with a whole bunch of other folks as well. They played with Daniel Lanois. Am I saying his name right? He's a known producer.
I don't know Daniel that well, so
I forget. He's like a producer guy, but he also has a band, and they were also his band for a while. So it's kind of like they did the Rollins thing, and then they did Daniel I think it's Lanois. Maybe it's Lanois. I don't know.
It's
I don't know.
It's Hanoi and Lanois.
It's Hanoi Rocks.
Yes.
No, it's not. Also in 2005, so just after they stopped being the Rollins Band, Jason McEnroth quit, and he was replaced for their last couple of albums by a guy named Matt Tiku, who was he was an awesome drummer as well. But without Jason McEnroth there, they kind of lost their original Mother Superior mojo and sound. I mean, they were like really tight. I read a couple of interviews with Jim Wilson, and he said they were a family. He said all of his bands that have done well, they've just been a family, and they did everything together. And this original trio was that way. Mm-hmm. And so when they got splintered, they did a few more albums, but not to the same effect as they had before. And actually, Jason McEnroth, he would die January 3rd, 2016, from prostate cancer, which is interesting. He was a pretty young guy to die from that.
Just snuck up on you.
And that's why you have to get your blood checked, people.
Yes.
Every dude out there, you got to do that.
Get that thing checked.
Runs in my family.
Does it?
Yeah, totally.
I'm due for it once this COVID thing's over.
Before we move any further, talking about Rollins' spoken word, there is a great segment that he does when he first got the band together, so somewhere around 2000. And he's doing this spoken word segment, and he's talking about how Mother Superior are all Kiss nerds. And so I thought you would find this funny, and I thought our listeners would find this funny, because I I talk about Kiss quite a lot because I'm a Kiss nerd as well, and a lot of other podcasters that I'm friends with are also Kiss nerds. But I thought it was especially fun because he's talking about Jason McEnroth being just the ultimate Kiss nerd. So I'm going to play this little segment kind of in honor of Jason as we're talking about him passing. So check this out.
This interesting thing happened to me last year, and it's wild. It's a great phenomenon that I got in on the tail end of. Last year, me and the guys in the band, we were touring all over the world, and we came here to your wonderful country and your beautiful city, and we had a rockin' time, and we visited 20, 23 countries, went all over the place, and we had a break between tours. We were home for a few weeks, and I am in a band with 3 Kiss fanatics, okay? 3 major Kiss fanatics. The bass player and the guitar player are kind of intermediate Kiss fans, but the drummer is a 6th degree black belt Kiss fan. You've met those people who's every day is all about Kiss. So it's Thursday, what are you doing today? Well, what do you think Gene Simmons is doing? Whatever Gene's gonna do, I'm gonna do. And so these guys always know way too much about Kiss. And that's our drummer. You can ask him, you can just make up questions. Jason, what do you think of the differences between all the German 7-inch picture sleeves of Kiss from 74 to 76 when compared to the French picture sleeves of the 7-inch singles of the same year, but the French versions? And he'll wait for 20 seconds. He's really mulling it over because he definitely has an opinion. Well, actually, that's a good question. I prefer the French sleeves because whereas the Germans use better photos, the French put the tabs of the single underneath the cover sheet. Here, I have them in this drawer. Here, come with me. I carry them with me everywhere I go. I mean, the guy is really intense when you talk about Kiss. He has this theory that he unloaded on us the other day in the studio. He went, one day, all the people who don't like Kiss will die off. And everyone in the world will like Kiss. And he was as serious as a heart attack. And we're just saying, Jason, you are the man. He's like, what? It's true. We're like, sure it is, Jason. You bet. And so anyway.
Typical punk rocker, not very smart, whatever. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
And that describes you.
It kind of does. There is a whole 3 segments that he does on this Australian tour where he talks about Kiss. There's a part 1 and a part 2 because he ends up talking about they take him to a show and, he's being very, snarky about it, doesn't really want to go, but he's taking the guys because he got him into the show. And then he talks about looking at Paul Stanley while I was on stage. And he's like, I swear he was looking straight at me.
He was staring at my soul.
Yes, exactly. And he's like, we made a connection. And then I got it.
It clicks. You're like, oh, I see.
And then he goes on, he's like, and I told Jason at the end, and Jason looked at me and he said, you're welcome.
You've been corrupted. You'll never be the same.
And then he talks about the wisdom of Kiss, which is another funny segment. But anyway.
I can also see why he got along with Henry. They sound like in the same room together. They just have these really deep, meaningful conversations together. Just his delivery and everything. I don't know.
Like I said, they've played with a ton of other groups. They've even played with Alice Cooper and Meatloaf, Emmylou Harris.
What?
I mean, that's through, I think, the Daniel name
right.
I can't pronounce. They've played with Sparks. Remember we talked about Sparks in our Glam episode? They played with Sparks. George Clinton, Queens of the Stone Age.
As long as they didn't play with Glitter.
Oh, they played with them all right. Yeah. They did disband in 2008. And I think, again, it was Jason was gone and that chemistry was just not quite there. So they went their separate ways. And in 2015, Scott Ian from Anthrax, his wife, Pearl, kind of resurrected at least Jim and the songs for an album that they all put together called Motor Sister. They basically just reinterpreted, if you will, Mother Superior songs. And that's a really good album. We played a song from that on episode 39, I believe. But go check out Motor Sister. You can get that pretty easily still. The Mother Superior albums, you can get them on eBay, but that's about the only place you're going to get them. You can download digital copies anywhere, but I only have them digitally because it was just too hard to find them. Even the CDs is like pricey, and I just went digital. So I don't have any of the artwork or the sleeves or any of the notes or anything. So for some of these
do you
albums,
have the French sleeves or the German sleeves?
No, I do have the German version.
Okay, good.
I always think Germans do it better, especially with their magazines. Yeah. So let's jump into it. We're just going to go down the discography. We're going to skip a couple things. We'll skip the demo because I don't want to play from a demo. Let's start with their first full-length album, which was called Heavy Soul Experience of Mother Superior. Now, this is interesting. This was produced, here's one of these punk rock connections. This was produced by Ian MacKaye, who is known as the singer in Minor Threat. He was the guitarist and singer in Fugazi, owner of Discord Records from D.C., and he also happened to be Rollins' best friend growing up when they grew up in D.C. together. So that's probably what the connection is, but I didn't know in 96 when this came out that he had helped him, but apparently he must have, because I don't know how else they would know Ian. But he produced their first album. Like I said, it's a throwback kind of retro sound, and if I think about why this band should have been bigger, one, they had all this exposure to all these other groups that they played with, but also if you think about 1996, what's going on then outside of alternative, you also have all this other stuff going on. You've got Lenny Kravitz is huge. You know, he does the same sort of retro 70s kind of music.
And does it well, yes.
And does it great. I mean, the Black Crowes were huge at that point in time.
Green Day was coming around about 96.
Green Day was around, yeah.
Grunge was tapering off.
Yeah, grunge was tapering off. You had your pop punk kind of coming in, but you also had all these just iconic rock musicians. I mean, you had your STPs and your... I just feel like they would have fit into that. Even like Government Mule, you had that spinoff from the Allman Brothers, which was like a more rockin' version with Warren Haynes. They could have easily fit into any of that. And, you know, had they maybe gone on tour with the Crows or Kravitz or Government Mule, it might have been different for them altogether. But I feel like they fit into that. And then when I was listening to this song in particular, I thought of a band that maybe we should talk about. I don't know if you remember, but do you remember Robert Bradley's Blackwater Surprise?
I remember the concert very well.
Yeah,
it was Cotton Club downstairs from Tabernacle. I remember I've got the live version of that, and I've got the recorded version, and I listened to the live version because I remember that show so well. He was such a good performer, despite the fact this guy was in his late 60s.
I don't know how old he was. An older guy. He was blind. He was a busker. They took him from the streets of Philadelphia or Detroit. Maybe it was Detroit. And these three dudes were jamming. They heard this guy busking out on the street, and they said, "Why don't you come in and jam with us?" And they became this band. That was Robert Bradley.
Three young 20-somethings backing up an old guy that was blind, and he put on a hell of a show. In fact, like I say, he's blind, but he was interacting with people in the audience. And it was just like a church revival, good funk music. Yeah, so I remember that very well.
But the type of music that they were playing, this first album is very similar to me. They get a little heavier as they go on, but this album, see what you think. See if it jogs your memory as well. Check it out. This is Can You Hear Me? It's the first song off of Mother Superior's first full-length album, Heavy Soul Experience of Mother Superior, 1996.
maybe it's just the tequila talking, but it was a heavier Doobie Brothers.
Yeah, I can hear that
in the chorus with the harmonies, like less spooky Black Sabbath, heavier Doobie Brothers, somewhere in the middle of that. Either way, it was early 70s.
Or Grand Funk Railroad.
Grand Funk.
Very Grand Funk.
I'm your captain. Yeah. That's exactly. So early 70s.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, you totally could have
in 96
blown me over and played that at one of our other episodes that you were featuring some early 70s music, and I would have believed you. That's awesome.
So
I really
well
like that.
done.
It
so
really
well
was. There's so many other bands, like I could pull out Monster Magnet as far as that retro vibe that was happening in the 90s. Like their music video, they got this old Trans Am, and we just been through grunge where everything was dark and gloomy and alternative, and these guys are standing on the Vegas Strip with a Burt Reynolds Trans Am and looked like they were straight out of the 70s.
Power tripping,
yeah. So anyway, all that together that was awesome. I was totally expecting more of that. Once again, the Rollins edge, punk edge, but you pulled that out. And I'm like, oh, this is good.
Well, and they do that whole retro 70s thing so well, and then they'll throw in something that's more current, but it always mixes really well. They always come across as traditionally blues-based rock. Not blues,
but blues
rock.
Based rock. Exactly.
Which, just screams late 60s, early 70s, that kind of music. And a lot of their recordings, they'll add an organ, which you heard the organ.
Right at the very end, it kind of trailed out.
They didn't have an organist in the band. They were just a power trio, so live it was all about the guitars. And one of the things that surprises me is you can hear the lack of production on the drums, but my God, the guitars sound so good.
It was dialed in perfectly.
Yeah, for a first album done on the cheap, the drums are the only thing that's kind of telling in that, because the guitars are just so great, and they're right where they need to be for this band in the mix. Not every band can pull that off, having guitars that much up front, but Jim Wilson is such a good guitar player, and he's one of those guys who, kind of like Gilmore, it's like because he's singing and playing guitar, and there's something about the mix between the way he plays and he sings, it just works so well together. And you'll see that as we go through. I'm glad you like that, because we're going to hit, obviously, a few more of these.
Bring it on.
Their second album came out a year later. It's called Kaleidoscope, and they got a little bit heavier and a little more psychedelic. So they really were dialing in that 70s vibe that they had going. And this was another album that they put out themselves. So this was not on a major label or anything like that. And you can tell they're dialing in that humble pie, that kind of cream, a little Deep Purple in there, some Grand Funk. They get a little bit funkier on this album too. So you got that in the mix more. They also started a trend. So their first album kicks off with the song we just played. All of their subsequent albums also have that same kind of mid-tempo, hit you in the face opening. Every single album has it. They're always great. And what they started on their second album was the second song is going to be their punk rock, fast-paced, Motorhead-style rock and roll song. And they carried that through the rest of the albums. So your second, you know what you're getting your first song, what type of song it's going to be, and your second song.
So with hair bands, it's a power ballad was the second one on there.
Well, these guys tend to, like track 4, track 5, that's where you get your slow blues.
Start to slow it down a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm not going to play in their slow blues stuff. They do some great slow blues, and they do some more traditional bluesy numbers as well.
Keep it up.
But we're going to keep this going. I want to play one of these fast-paced songs, so
buckle up.
Yeah, buckle up. This one's called Got a Thing About You from Kaleidoscope 1997.
I put
I love that.
That's rock and roll 101 right there.
Absolutely. No frills about it. Starts off first note, it's punching you in the face. And you're going, ow, ow, stop punching me in the face. And it just keeps punching you in the face.
Little tinge of Motorhead, little tinge of Iron Maiden. That riff almost sounded like Paul Di'Anno, Iron Maiden.
You're right. Exactly. Not Mr. Dickinson.
No. This
Sir Dickinson.
No, from the first two albums had that kind of old school Maiden feel.
That's so funny that early Iron Maiden and Motorhead are only half a step apart.
Yeah.
Were they from the same town?
No, they weren't from the same town, but same time frame, if you think about it.
Down the street from each other. Buddies in high school. Anyway. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff. And you're lucky that I didn't really get into Motorhead until after I was retired from music, because that's all I would have wanted to play. I mean,
I would have been fine with that.
I know. Who the other members in the band? Maybe, I don't know. They might.
It would have been a different band.
It would have been a different band. Yeah. But now, all these years later, I keep listening to Motorhead and going, "Damn it! That's what I wanted to play." Even
I'm
though
the same way.
We were still high energy and fast.
I get more into Motorhead the older I get.
Yeah. What is that?
Yeah.
We should be getting like soft rock and 70s classics. I didn't
own all of their albums when they were. I really got into them later.
No, I knew like 3 of their songs back when we were in a band: Road Crew, Ace of Spades, and I don't even, maybe one other.
I got into them probably senior year of high school. I had one album, Orgasmatron, which I liked.
Oh, that was the third one, yeah, Orgasmatron.
But it didn't make me want more. And then when I got to Clemson, I met Paul Johnson, who was the bass player in my band in college, who was also our bass player for a while.
First bass player, yes.
He lives here in Atlanta as well. But he introduced me to the first 2 Motorhead albums, because he was a big Motorhead fan. And so he got me more into them, but it never quite clicked until much later for me.
Oh, and now I can't get enough. Thanks once again to your magic iPod that has every song ever made on it, and that's what I listen to. And I can go through 30 Motorhead songs in a row and not feel like, I want to get something different. I'm just perfectly happy with that. So that's weird how that works out. And that's, once again, it's interesting also to think about how close that is to, between Motorhead and Iron Maiden. Seems like 2 different bands completely into the spectrum, but it threads the needle right between that. Once again, that's a damn good sound.
And 2 very famous Nawabum bands.
Yes.
So it all comes back to Nawabum.
Episode 16, I believe.
I don't remember what the number was,
I was just making that up.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. We did have an episode, and people seemed to like it.
We had a couple episodes in Nawabum, didn't we?
No, just one.
Just one?
Just one. We talked about Metallica, where we talked about
Nawabum. Oh, they went back.
bunch.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but anyway, we're back on Mother Superior. And,
what else you got?
Well, so that came out in 97. I mentioned that's also the year that they got Hank, good old Henry Rollins, and said, hey, for our next album, we want you to produce it, right? So we played a song, Does the Music Make You Feel Good, off of the album that he produced called Deep. I wasn't going to play anything from that album because we have so much more stuff. And I got to tell you, man, their albums are just chocked full of these just great riffs and nuggets. It was so hard for me to pick. Usually I don't have this much trouble. It's so hard for me to pick what song I wanted to play because on any album, there are at least 6 killer songs. I mean, just killer riffs that I'm like, oh, Robert's going to dig that. We're not going to play anything from Deep. Obviously, they became the Rollins Band. They were also Mother Superior at the same time. And in 2001, which is a year after they released Get Some Go Again as the Rollins Band, and in between, it came out like a couple months before they released the next Rollins release called Nice, they released their album that's the self-titled Mother Superior. Now, if you can find this on CD, if you want a CD, this is the one to get. This was also produced by Rollins, and this is where I think they got a better deal because of being the Rollins Band at that time, so they're getting more notoriety, and so they got a better deal, and they got better production. You can hear the production on this album is just fantastic. This is such a good album, and this is, for me, where they really start to gel as a band and really kick it into high gear. So I read a review on this album, which I thought was cool, that said, it's the territory of early Van Halen filtered through punk and grunge attitude.
Ooh.
I'm like, that's pretty spot on, actually. I don't really need to say anything else. I'm going to play a song from Mother Superior 2001. The name of the song is Cool, Cool Breeze.
It's funny, the review you mentioned said it was sort of a Van Halen-ish sound. I heard Sammy Hagar pre-Van Halen because there was no Eddie
Right, yes.
shredding throughout it.
Blues-based
so that
leads,
where it backs up a little bit further into the Hagar years before he joined.
Well,
almost Montrose kind of.
I took that comment to mean like the tone of the guitar, because Eddie had it was his tone, and you knew that guitar. And I think Jim Wilson's guitar is so up front, and it just hits you in the face. It's so impactful. But to me, that song was more like The Who and Kiss had a baby, because it had that Ace Frehley kind of lead.
Kiss the baby.
Yeah, it had that Ace Frehley kind of lead in the middle, and it had a very Who sounding. The bass was very John Entwistle sounding bass line.
It wasn't eighth notes. That was nice.
No, well, it had some of that in there, but it's rock and roll, man. But there's so many other songs, like I said, from all of these recordings that. I mean, this album, just sonically, the way that where the guitars sit, and the warmth of the drums, they finally got the drums right in this recording. So good. And actually, the recording before it, Deep, Henry did a really good job on that as well. So, like I say, he returned for production on this album. I don't know why that couldn't have been bigger in 2001 instead of all the new metal crap that we were having to listen to.
Oh, God.
This was so much.
On that.
This was so much more superior.
Yes, it was. It was actually listenable.
Mother superior.
And fun.
Oh, so 1 year later, they give us their next slab of music. So 2002. So that is their final year as the Rollins Band, and also the year that they go out and tour as kind of the Black Flag tribute. Another merger between them and punk rock here is the album artwork for this next album, which is called Sin, was done by Raymond Pettibone, who did, I think, almost all of the Black Flag covers, album art. And he also did the Black Flag logo that everybody knows, the 4 bars. And he also, any of the SST bands, which is what Black Flag was on. So Greg Ginn was in Black Flag. He was the guitarist. Henry Rollins was the singer for a time in Black Flag. And Greg Ginn also owned SST Records. Raymond Pettibone just happens to be Greg Ginn's brother. So there's all this punk rock connection. But Mother Superior had Pettibone do an album cover for them. And traditionally, he had only done kind of punk rock covers. He did Sonic Youth, Goo. I think people that know Sonic Youth know that cover as well, but mostly punk rock. So another thing there for their punk rockness. But also, in this album, they had Mr. Wayne Kramer, who's a legendary guitarist from the MC5, as their producer. So he did a couple albums with them. This is the first one. And I think Rollins was still somewhat involved as well into this. But again, this was kind of their last stint with Rollins as the Rollins Band. So they released this the same year that Rollins Band released their live album that they're on. We're going to play the first song off of this album, which is called Strange Change. And once you listen to this song, you know why it's titled that.
Everybody's talking trash. They say I changed, well maybe I have. Even my brother's been putting me down, but only God can judge me now. Let it go, me chorus on. Never felt so heavy, or hung so low. I've been walking and talking to myself, and the New York wind's been answering. Yeah, I ain't no junkie, but I'm looking for a fix. It's a strange change. It's getting harder just to get my kicks. It's a strange change. Yeah, yeah. Got to get it. Don't criticize my way of life. My feet are planted firmly in the sky. It's alright to go hungry sometimes. Helps you realize what you've been missing. Excuse me, I cannot guarantee that we'll see eye to eye if you're looking at me. I've been stuck in this prison too long. It's time to escape from it. Yeah, yeah, I ain't no junkie, but I'm looking for a fix. It's a strange change. It's getting harder just to get my kicks. It's a strange change.
Finger licking good. That was good. In the 90s, they sounded like they were from the early 70s. So now they're in the 2000s. That sounded like the early mid 80s, kind of a early Whitesnake. Just the delivery, all up until the point where it had the breakdown.
Until the funky breakdown.
And all of a sudden they're in the 90s. It sounded like Chili Peppers and something. So they just keep, about a 20-year differential between them and the music that they make, which is okay. It's good stuff.
I was thinking the same thing with the chorus. I'm like, any guy who loves hair bands would probably love that chorus because it had that kind of feel to it, that bluesy rock.
Even the lyrical content had just a little bit more of the 80s vibe to it, but then all of a sudden it just changes directions completely.
Boom, you're playing Parliament. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Not many bands can pull that off. That's a skill.
And go back to
the
Yeah. Well, that's why it's called Strange Change, obviously. But, I love it because it's like this band. If I could have been in any other band ever,
that sounds like a fun band to be in.
Would be a really good band to be
just
in.
Playing the music you love, and having
just
a good time,
mixing it all together. It's everything that I love. It's what we do here. It's rock and punk and metal, all just merged together. And speaking of, we're going to get a little bit heavier with the next release that they had.
Because that was pretty heavy. So that was
pretty heavy.
It was getting there.
Yeah, we got a couple more to go.
A few notches heavier.
Yeah, we're just going to get a little bit heavier.
Okay.
So in 2004. Their sixth album is again produced by Wayne Kramer, MC5. So just really famous in that Detroit sound that everybody loved in the early 70s that gave us Iggy and that gave us Alice Cooper, MC5. I mean, just what a lot of punk rock bands always aspired to sound like. That was the template, that was the blueprint for punk rock. But also just people that were into cool music. That was cool, super cool. So anyway, they got Wayne Kramer again for a second time to produce their album. So they're doing pretty well for themselves. Although you and I still don't know who they are. This band should have been much bigger than they were. But they also got, in 2004, with Wayne Kramer, famous David Bowie producer Tony Visconti. So he co-produces with Wayne Kramer. So now you have David Bowie's producer sitting in
connections there.
Yeah. So, and I'm sure that's how they got Tony, was through Wayne Kramer. And I love David Bowie. Oddly, this is my least favorite Mother Superior album because what have we heard in every single song that we've listened to so far? What's been up front and in your face? Guitars.
Oh, no.
And that's how this band should sound.
Yes.
But what Tony Visconti does is he brings in a lot of arrangements and a lot of extra instruments, and he does what he does.
Yeah.
But to me, it didn't quite work with this band.
It's like telling Lemmy to turn down his bass.
Yeah, because
you just don't do that.
Well, it's the weakest guitar sound they've had on any album, for one, and two, it's just they work well as a trio. You could add an organ in there or give something, a little string arrangement maybe on some of the slower stuff, but they don't need a lot of other stuff. It's just not. They're meat and potatoes rock to me, and if you mess with that, don't like it as much. But
thanks. Now I'm hungry.
There's still a few nuggets in this album. I'm going to play one called Fuel the Fire. So this is from 13 Violets, came out in 2004.
Till we get together just to burn one
as an experienced pyrotechnician that I am, the subject matter appealed to me.
I could see that.
Yeah. Other than that,
Do it.
did you pick up on the tribute to Kiss in that song? Ooh.
Enlighten me.
Talking about Hotter Than Hell.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Look
see
at who's
that.
pulling out the obscure references on Mr. Obscure.
Well, there we go.
But you nailed it. I mean, good music, good quality recording and everything. To me, it didn't have me sitting on the edge of my seat like the first couple
Something's
songs
missing,
did.
right?
Yeah.
Something's missing. Something's not quite there. And this is one of the true nuggets where the guitars are up. There were other songs where the guitar is very buried and you've got all this other atmospheric stuff going on, which they're not Pink Floyd. They don't really need.
Yeah, exactly. You know? I'm all into that, but I kind of like it separate. I don't like my hard rock and my psychedelic rock mixed. I want to be able to rock out or just chill out.
I mean, they've already established who they are and what they sound like.
They're having fun, maybe. Just, hey, you know what? They're doing what they want to do.
But the next album knocks it out of the park. The next album is called Moanin. It came out in 2005.
Ooh, yeah.
Moanin. And Moanin is damn good. A lot of the songs off of Moanin ended up on the reinterpretation that Motor Sister did. So I think that was the album that Scott Ian and a lot of the other guys liked.
Okay.
So when they did Motor Sister and they brought Jim Wilson back in, several of the songs are from Moanin. And the song I'm going to play is actually on the Motor Sister album as well. And it's called This Song Reminds Me of You. This would be the album that Jason McEnroth, the drummer, he left right before the recording of this. So they have a new drummer. He's amazing as well. And just a lot of power in this album. This is another one. If you were thinking about getting some of their stuff, I would say either get Mother Superior, the self-titled album, or Deep, or Moanin. Those are the three go-tos, and then you can get the rest. They're all good.
I look forward to borrowing them from you.
I will put them, if you hand me back the iPod, I will put them on.
Okay, it's downstairs. It's safe. I promise.
All right, so let's listen to This Song Reminds Me of You.
Really? Me?
Reminds me of you and all the things that we used to do. The time that you went away, how it broke my heart. You are to blame for the decision, so don't be surprised by my reaction. Said what you said to me. That day you broke my heart. I hear a melody, and automatically she creeps into my memory. It never fails to remind me. No. An old soul song, the one where everything went wrong, but you can't resist to sing along. No. Tell me, how many times have I told myself this will be the last time? Music always takes me back to when you broke my heart. Tell us about it.
That reminds me, I need a new wah pedal. Remind me later on. That guy was getting his money's worth.
Yeah.
Two different at the same time. I mean, he was just like, no, I want to track this again with the wah pedal over the top of the wah pedal.
So good. So good.
I was getting ready to call you a damn liar at the beginning because it was kind of lulling you into
little spacey.
Yeah, let me just, chill out. No, here comes the guitar. I'm going to kick your ass some more.
Man. It's just, and I don't know if you noticed, but they recorded that similar to how Van Halen recorded, where they pan hard left and hard right, so you can really get the separation between the instruments.
Yeah, like the one wah track was in right
you
channel,
had your lead all
and
in
the
your
left channel.
and,
Yeah,
man, it's so good.
They went back to basics.
They did. They went back to kind of where they started with that album, but their production was just huge.
Yeah.
I mean, everything just sounded so big. And we've talked a lot about how great the guitar is, but my God, that man can sing. That man's got some soul in his voice.
I didn't want to say it because I know how near and dear this is to your heart, but remind me of King's X. Not he didn't sound like him, but the way his delivery and the funky blues rock that was backing him up.
Yeah.
That was kind of in that ballpark that I would have put them on the stage together. Like they would have gone well together.
I would have jizzed all over the place.
Yes, you would have. Like, oh my God, I'll be right back. I got to go clean up.
That's just in my zone.
Yeah, I know. That's I didn't want to say it because I don't want to be blasphemous.
Oh no. This is all.
Save
this is all
for
in my
something
zone.
that's really good. But that was good.
Yeah. This is what I love. I love it when a band can just put everything together and just wrap it up so neatly and have the guitar out front like that and just peel your face off, yet still be soulful.
Peel your face, but it wasn't metal, like shredding metal. It was just heavy, though.
It's just
hard and heavy.
It's old school heavy.
Yeah, old school heavy.
When they used to say heavy, they didn't mean heavy metal. They just meant it's heavy, like it's just thick.
The groove and bass line gives it that bottom end to it. And once again, the tone in the middle of that had really almost a slap bass sound to it that I don't often notice the bass line for songs being a guitar player, but that one, caught my ear. I'm like, yeah, it's a good groove and bass line.
And he's just, what he's doing is he is playing with his fingers, obviously, but he's hitting the strings so hard.
That's what it was.
Like sort of like Steve Harris, where it's just like,
but you
get
hear
that clank, clank, clank.
The clank, clank is what I was hearing, but it wasn't slapping it necessarily, but he was playing hard.
I'm pretty sure he played either a Fender P bass or jazz, but it was definitely a Fender, and it has that just heavy clank, 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 clank because he's playing it so hard with his fingers.
It sounded good.
So we are going to get into heavier territory. Their last full-length album that they put out was called Three-Headed Dog, and that came out in 2007. Now, again, I don't know why this band couldn't have taken, and maybe Rollins Band wasn't as big as I thought they were at the time, but I always thought of Rollins Band as sort of being a fairly decent-sized, well-respected band. I know Henry makes jokes about him not being that, but I always felt like he had some clout. And I feel like they should have taken that with them when they went back to being Mother Superior, but it didn't really happen that way. Even though I saw them as Rollins Band 3 times total, I didn't follow up with them at the time they were releasing these albums because I didn't know they were out.
It was years and years later. The original fans had probably moved on to growing up, not necessarily into the punk scene as much as they were when they were teenagers. So life goes on. You evolve.
And maybe because they were so vastly different from being a punk band.
Yeah,
so Rollins is known for being the punk guy, even though his studio stuff with Rollins Band got less and less punk rock as he went on. His audience probably remained true to punk. So
a lot of punk bands matured and evolved. That started off just hardcore punk, and then the ones that stuck around evolved. But in this situation, once again, the fans may have stuck with original Rollins Band. That was their band, and they didn't see
these guys
Mother Superior as Rollins Band. But even though they may have liked them, it wasn't the same to them.
I wish they could have taken some of that crowd with them and could have gotten a little bit bigger because I don't remember them touring, at least not here on the East Coast. I know they did out west, and I know they were playing with other groups at the time too. So I'm sure they had lots going on. But I just wish this band they should have been bigger than they were. So their last album, again, Three-Headed Dog, came out in 2007. There's hardly any information that I can find on this album other than the fact that the album exists.
It's there.
I don't know if they put it out and maybe they were even broken up before it came out. And that's why I can't find
there was no
anything
tours on it.
So there's nothing to support it.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
But there is a song on here that's for Mother Superior. This is their heavy. This is about as heavy as I get, and it's a great song called Left for Dead. And I'm going to play it right now. Let's get heavy.
was like 3 completely different songs for the price of one. It was like a buffet. It was smorgasbord of songs.
It was definitely the heaviest thing they ever laid to tape.
Yeah, I mean, the first third would have been absolutely perfect in 1993. I mean, it's very Alice in Chains where
Right.
you had that heavy verse and then a very melodic chorus to kind of balance that out, which I love about them. It gave you a little bonus for listening to the really heavy off-tempo,
Right.
minor chord stuff, and then the middle was just good funk rock, and the end was just almost like sludge, not even grunge.
Yeah,
it was just
definitely
sludgy.
their grungiest song
Yes.
that they have.
And once again, about 15 to 20 years
2007.
that was about 15 years later. So they were excellent at nailing what was going on 15, 20 years prior to when they recorded it, which is some skills. It sounded great. I still will go back to the early stuff, but
Right.
that was good.
And the rest of that album's varied. It doesn't sound like that. I wanted to show how heavy they could actually get.
Yeah, that's like just to tip the scales as far as you can one way and then come back.
Because if you think about everything we've heard, we've hit rock, totally blues rock. We've hit a little bit of punk. We've definitely hit funk.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe a little tinge of alternative, but that hit our metal. That hit the metal meter.
Well, and I would say progressive to the extent that song just went all over the map. So it was
True.
progressive metal, but it was still in the progressive realm.
And we also tagged on grunge.
Yeah, just a little sprinkling of grunge.
They got it all.
Damn.
They really got it all.
So if you're stranded on a desert island and you can only pick one band,
this might be
that
one.
might be it, actually. Yeah.
So again, just pleading my case, this band should have been huge to me. They could have been so much bigger than they were because they're really, really obscure. People maybe have heard the name
Never
once,
would have heard of it if it weren't for you.
but rarely have people heard the actual music.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I could play this today.
I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it was so hard to pick these songs because there's so many good songs on the album.
It's a good problem to have.
It is a great problem to have. I'm going to play something from they did have a posthumous release called Grande, which came out in 2008, and I do want to play this kind of as the play out
This is the
song
outro.
today.
Okay.
And this is a live show that they did, I'm assuming somewhere in Mexico. So it goes along with your theme today
Perfect.
of your tequila.
Tequila's wearing off. So good.
Enjoy, and we will see you next time.
Y con el rock duro de los californianos Mother Superior. Ellos son los encargados de inaugurar la sesión de esta noche. Desde Hollywood, California, Mother Superior.
Behind your veil, got a lot on my mind, and it's
I was just sitting there and you were all quiet. What are you doing?
Ronnie James D.O.G.